Hi everyone, Fox is here and I'm bringing you my monthly favorites slash wrap up slash I don't know what it is, but it's my monthly summary video. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about the places that I went to, the movies that I watched, the TV shows that I watched, and the books that I read in the month of April. Yes, I know, April. This video is a bit overdue, but I was super busy the past few weeks. I mean, even a couple of months. So my month in terms of traveling was quite exciting. I went to Jamaica for 4 days. This was my very first trip to Jamaica ever. I didn't do a lot of filming there, but I did take a couple of videos that I still haven't even edited yet. I did one time-lapse video that I posted, and I'm going to provide a link somewhere here. It's just my sort of meditation time-lapse video. Nothing exciting, but I'm hoping one day I will be able to make some sort of very short road trip type of movie about Jamaica. That was not my only trip in April. I also went to the Niagara Falls with my parents. So I went to Jamaica at the beginning of April, and then by the end of the April, on April 23rd, my parents came over, and at the end of April we went to the Niagara Falls, which was also very exciting. But because of that, because I went to Jamaica and because I had my parents staying over, I didn't have that much time to read or watch movies. The only two movies that I watched in April were both on demand. One was Divergent. Yes, I know, I'm quite behind, but that was the very first time I've ever watched that movie. Yes, I watched Divergent, and I also watched Hotel Transylvania 2, which was very funny, and I really enjoyed it. But I still have a feeling that Hotel Transylvania 1 was way better and way funnier. Still, I did enjoy both movies. I enjoyed Divergent, even though I kept thinking about the book and about how the book seemed so different from the movie, but I still enjoyed it. In terms of TV shows, I didn't really watch anything except for I started watching Sailor Moon Crystal. If you don't know, Sailor Moon is a well-known anime and back from the 80s, and I watched it as a kid and I absolutely loved it. And then there were a lot of live shows, there were action live movies, whatnots, whole huge franchise, but they decided to remake the whole TV show, and it's called Sailor Moon Crystal. There are 2 seasons out there. Only 2 seasons so far, and I think the beginning of 3rd season is out as well. I'm watching it on Crunchyroll, which is some sort of streaming website for anime and manga, and I'm really enjoying it. I breezed through season 1, really enjoyed it. It's way short, like every season is about 12 episodes. It's way shorter than the original TV show, because originally every TV show season was, I think, between 22 and 24 episodes. This seasons are shorter, but they're more closer in plot to manga. I've never read the manga in full, but I did read some bits of it way back in the day, and I must say that the art is way better nowadays than it was back in the 80s or 90s, and I do still enjoy the story. You know what, I'm not a fan of Usagi as a main character, but I do love all of the supporting sailor senshi, sailor soldiers, or sailor warriors, whatever you want to call them. I do enjoy it, and watching it in Japanese with subtitles in English is, you know, like, it feels as if like I'm back in my childhood. I don't know, I did watch a lot of anime when I was younger, when I was a teenager, and when I was in my 20s, but I'm not watching it anymore, except for I felt like watching Sailor Moon, and yay, it's pretty awesome. I highly recommend. I'm not sure if it's available on Netflix. I don't have Netflix, to be honest, but it's available on Crunchyroll, and if you want, I can leave a link down below for you guys to check it out as well. Okay, let's talk about the books, finally. I read 14 bookish things in April, which is a very low number for me, considering how many short ebooks and graphic novels I read. that's almost like nothing. To be honest, in April, I didn't have much time with all that traveling and, my parents being over. I didn't have much time to read, but I still read two solid novels. One of them was Willful Machines by Tim Florin, and I'm going to provide a link to my weekly wrap-up in which I'm talking about this book. I did enjoy it. It's a YA dystopian sci-fi novel with a focus on gay romance, which I really enjoyed. It's a debut novel, and you can actually tell when you read it because it has a bit of rawness to style, but at the same time I did enjoy it, and I highly recommend if you're looking for something in this genre. The second book that I read was Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. As you know, it's book number 1 in quite well-known YA fantasy or sci-fi dystopian fantasy. And it was quite good. It was not as good as I expected it to be, even though I did enjoy the world and world building and the type of magic and the society. At the same time, there were some things which kind of annoyed me, especially the main character, Mayor. I found her really annoying at times, and I still enjoyed it. And I think one of the things why I did not enjoy this book as much as I thought I would, it was because I started reading it and then I put it away for a couple of weeks, and then I read a couple of pages more and then I set it aside again. And because of that, it kind of spoiled the building up of tension or whatever was happening in the book. The build-up was kind of broken, and because of that, I had a bit of a, trouble processing or really enjoying the book. I did like it. I gave it 3.5 stars on Goodreads. It was a very good book with a lot of promise, but it did not blow me away. In April, I read 3 graphic novels. One of them was 2 volume number 9, Pollo, which is still one of my favorite volumes, and I wish my library would have volumes 10 and 11. Unfortunately, they do not. I don't know what to do. I really want to continue reading the story, but yeah, volume 1 number 9 was very good. I think I gave it 4.5 or 5 stars. And another graphic novel that I read, it was Red Queens, volume number 2. I still enjoyed it, even though recently I read quite a few controversial things about Red Queens writers or designers or producers. I don't know how to call them, but I heard quite a few controversial things, and now I'm a bit hesitant about continuing with the series. But nevertheless, when I read volume number 2, I did enjoy it. Another graphic novel that I read in April was Anne Rice's Servant of the Bones, but in a graphic novel format. It was quite good. I think I gave it 3 or 3.5 stars. It was quite interesting, but the story was not as gripping as I hoped it would be. And if you like reading about ghosts or supernatural beings, and if you're familiar with Anne Rice's quite unique writing style, I think you will enjoy this book. I also read several mangas in April. I read volumes 2, 3, and 4 of Axe manga by Clamp, and I also purchased and read volume number 1 of Tokyo Babylon. Both of those mangas are connected in the same world, and Tokyo Babylon actually is a prequel. And when I was reading, I'm familiar with both storylines as I watched anime and read bits of manga back in the day. And when I started reading Axe, I got really immersed in the story. It was very nice to revisit the same world, the same characters, but at some point when the 2 of the characters from Tokyo Babylon were introduced, and there were a lot of hints and references to the things that happened in Tokyo Babylon manga, I decided that I wanted to read that one as well. It was not available at my local library, so I had to purchase them on Amazon. I purchased and I read volume number 1 right away, and it blew me away. I loved it. I think I gave it 5 stars. It was amazing, and also really enjoyed volumes number 2 and 4. Volume number 3 of Axe was not as exciting, if I remember correctly, but still all of those manga volumes are somewhere between 4 and 5 stars for me. Really enjoyed them. If you love fantasy and if you love some sort of, mystical, and if you love mangas, I definitely highly recommend you read them, because Clamp does amazing artwork. But please be aware that artwork of Tokyo Babylon, which if I'm not mistaken is their very first published manga, I may be mistaken there, but I think it's the case. And their style in Tokyo Babylon is very different. It's very 90s, it's very old school, it's very much like, if you remember Sailor Moon, like back in the day, or even if you watched anime Tokyo Babylon or any other animes from back from the 80s or 90s, you will see that the style is very much a reflection of that time, while Axe is quite different. Axe has a very, very fine, very unique, very refined type of art, and I do like it way better than I like Tokyo Babylon art, but the storyline is still very good. If you want to check it out, I'm going to leave links to Goodreads pages down below. So yeah, if you're a fan, please let me know. I want to fangirl with you. I also read 5 ebooks, which were pretty short. I read them on my Kindle, and they were all by indie authors who write gay romances. So if it's not your cup of tea, I'm not going to talk a lot about it, but I just want to say that pretty much every single story that I read in April on my Kindle was a very good one. One was not as good, so I'm not going to mention it, but there was one which centered around Amish culture, and that was the very first time in my life I ever read anything about Amish culture. It was quite interesting, and I had a feeling that it was either the author was familiar with this culture, or they just did a lot of good research, because it was very well written. And even though it's a series, the first book can be read as a standalone, and I read it as a standalone. I'm not sure I'm going to proceed with the series, because I have a feeling as if the story kind of wraps up really nicely in this book. But I also read a couple of other novels which were very nice, and I pretty much gave all of them somewhere between 3 and 4 stars, I believe. I'm going to leave links down below, and just please be aware that all of the books that I read on my Kindle, especially those ones which fall under gay romances, they always include some mature content. So if you're not really comfortable with mature content, or if you're not, like, if you're underage or something, please do not check out those books, because they would definitely have some very heavy mature sexual content, just to be clear. Okay, well, this is my month. That was it. That was my April, and even though I didn't do a lot of reading, some of that reading was pretty good. I really enjoyed Willful Machines, and I really enjoyed my venture into manga and anime again. That got me really excited, and I did a lot of good traveling this month. So yeah, it was a pretty good month, but May kind of shaped out to be even better. I cannot wait for the moment when I'm going to film my May summary video, and I hope you'll enjoy it too. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon. Bye!